All right, I was asked to talk about K-Tech and a little bit about leadership. And so I wanted to share with you a little bit of the story of K-Tech and how we came about. This school, Ridgewood High School, was actually built in '76, actually. It started as a junior high and then became a high school 2 years later. So it's been around for quite some time. It unfortunately was in a bad position in that it had been a D high school 3 years in a row. And so the state was actually going to come in the next year and take over the school if we didn't raise the school grade. As a district, they moved me over here to help move the school forward and to raise it up. And I got here in March the year prior, and we talked about what can we do to really enhance it. And truly, I'm a believer that the culture is the biggest piece. If you can change the culture of a school, you can really make that impact, because then people are willing to do things and to take those steps and take those initiatives with you. And so that following year, I was found out actually on that summer that they decided we don't think we're going to be able to do it in 1 year. And so we're going to close it down and reopen as Wendell Krinn Technical High School the following year. So in that transition, though, all the staff now is realizing they're going to be without a job. They don't know what's going to happen. And so teachers are leaving. And it was a very difficult year, I will say that. At the same time, we talked about we have to focus on these kids. We have to make sure, because school grades are tied to how students are doing and how they're going to be successful. We have to make sure they can read, they can do the math, they can do all those things. So we really focused in on that. And what are we going to still do to make sure that we can bring those students up? And so we talked about a couple key things. And one of the big ones for me has always been technology. So we talked about getting with the times. So here's a quick little video that we used to talk about getting with the times.
A new tourist destination in Auburn Hills, Michigan is showing visitors the difficulties life held for Americans in the past. Blockbuster Video aims to transport visitors to a time before the internet. This is an historically authentic recreation of a video store, a specialty shop where customers exchanged money for the short-term use of videos in an archaic system called renting.
The tour is amazing. It's like stepping into a time machine. It's hard to believe that people live this way.
A historical research team spent 3 years making sure every last detail was accurate, from the signs used to promote the store's merchandise to the costumes worn by the store's employees, historical performers who make history come alive for tour groups twice an hour.
My character is based on an actual Blockbuster employee named Jerome, who worked there from May of 1999 to June 2000. My main responsibilities are to man the cash register and to put the movies from the return slot back onto the shelves.
I am a Blockbuster customer named Kathy. 2 times a week, I travel 6 miles to rent and return videos. Oh, look, we're in the comedy section. What's so poignant about this time is the uncertainty. When you get to the Blockbuster, are they going to have your video? Did someone else rent it? Is there going to be a line? Are the alarms going to sound when you walk out the front door? It was very difficult for the people that lived during this era.
Actors say their job is to create a historically authentic experience.
Yes, we have it, but our only copy is currently checked out.
After the organized tour, visitors are allowed to move around the store, exploring the so-called living museum.
It's really amazing that people had to go through so much just to get a movie.
So the idea was obviously just to step up with the times, and technology was such a big piece. So we did use the technology integration matrix from the University of South Florida. I've used a bunch of different tools when I do consulting around the nation, but this one was the one we used here because it was close to home. So using USF's tool, the idea having a roadmap for teachers. So just like when we talk about walkthroughs and we talk about different things that we're doing with teachers and we talk about going into classrooms, we expect teachers to have a lesson plan. We have to give them something that they can look at and utilize to help them understand where they're at, where they want to be. And so we use the technology integration, and it just helps them to know where their students are and what the next steps would be to move them along it. So it's a continuum that helps the teachers to understand technology integration and where you're at and where you can move. And so it's not important to where they're starting, it's important to know what the next step is so they can move forward. And we talked about just doing simple things. And this is, I think, the biggest thing for me was the idea of we're in a changing year where teachers know things are happening, but we still have to do things to help our students. And I've always found that if you can ask teachers just to do one small little thing to tweak a lesson to make it better, I'm not asking you to throw everything out and to restart. I'm asking you to just tweak a lesson just a little bit. So teachers all the time use Socratic seminars. And if you're familiar with that, it's one circle on the inside, one circle on the outside. That circle on the outside, though, sometimes gets lost because they're not as involved in what's going on. So why not instead have that circle on the outside on their device and project up in the background their questions, their comments, their thoughts, so that as a teacher, if there's a lull in the center, you can grab in, oh, you know what, Susie said this, or Johnny's asking this. And so now that outside circle is all of a sudden involved. Doesn't take a big switch for how the teacher's doing it. It's just the outside circle is now using a device to project up rather than actually taking their little notes, and then you don't know what they've written or what they've got. As a teacher, now you can know the best ones to bring into the conversation. So a little tweak, poll everywhere, any kind of tool where you get all the students responding, and as a teacher, you get real-time data. That's been a big one for us too that I talked about was, 10 minutes into a lesson, we need to know if the kids are getting it. Not that ticket out the door when it's too late or the end of the week when they take the quiz. I need to know 10 minutes in, are they getting it? So I can go at a faster pace, or I slow it down and reteach, or there's only 2 kids that aren't getting it, so I can go back and work with them later. So that was a big one too, is some type of tool where you get the entire class responding. Instead of asking a question, having one kid answer, asking a question, having all 25 or 30 kids answer, and having real-time data on your dashboard that you can look at and say, oh, they're getting it, we can move, or I need to slow it down. So those types of things. And then ThingLink was just another one that I quickly showed. It was, again, just a way to tweak a lesson. So it was a tool that, olden days kids would create these cells, plant walls and animal cells. Well, this is one where you just take a picture of that afterwards, and then the kids could record little videos to go with it. Idea of, once again, not having a kid wasting time up front presenting each kid sharing their little cell, but instead make it technology. So kids can go and look at a bunch of different examples and see what's happening and hear from the other students what they're doing and critique and evaluate and take things to the next level. So just some quick things to share that we did. And we were able to raise the school grade. So in a year with the school in turmoil and teachers leaving throughout the year, we still were able to raise that school grade because we had people that were committed to just making some little tweaks to their lessons. I think adding in those technology pieces really made a huge impact on what we did. And so the school wouldn't have had to shut down, but it was already in the process. So we did convert over to Wendell Krinn Technical High School that following year. We are currently the highest scoring school in Pasco County for 3 years running. Big part of that is because students want to be here. So students do apply to come to K-Tech. Any student can get in. If they have an IEP, they can get in no matter what. If otherwise, they do need to be a level 2 reader, level 2 math to get in, but they can be behind grade level. So it's not like a high criteria to get into K-Tech, but it is a school full of children that want to be here. And these are the 14 programs we have, and this is why they want to be here.
Hello, my name is Nan. I would like to introduce you to Wendell Krinn Technical High School. Not only is K-Tech an A-rated high school, here at K-Tech we have enrolled students who teach a ratio, which means there's plenty of one-on-one interactions. Check out what your classroom can look like and what you could be doing in high school. So please make sure you register for K-Tech before it is too late.
So these are classrooms. So that's one of the biggest differences is that we're built for this stuff. And so I'll show you the robotics classroom when we get out there, but each of these programs has a classroom and then a work area off of it. It makes a huge impact where you can have these kinds of tools at your fingertips. When kids have a reason to come to school each and every day, it really makes a big difference. Ten bays of cars that go up and down on lifts, 40 hair stations. They have some amazing pedicure chairs and fingernail areas. So I give you a quick look at our 14 programs. It's been awesome. We have your traditionals, as you saw, but we also have state-of-the-arts like cybersecurity, biomedical, the pre-engineering, robotics, and artificial intelligence. And that's another thing is we keep adapting and changing to meet the needs of the world. And so it was robotics and electronics, and we've shifted into robotics and artificial intelligence. All of my kids get 8 classes in their area of interest. So that's one of the big differences too, is a traditional, like we have a culinary program at other high schools, Anclote and Land Lakes, but they only get about 4 classes throughout their time in high school. At K-Tech, they'll get 8 no matter what. So it makes a big difference for them. And the last piece I just want to share that makes a big difference is traditional technical high schools got kids ready for a great job. We do that here, but we also get them ready for a 4-year university. Because as an 8th grader, they don't know for sure what it is they're going to be doing for the rest of their life. So when they leave here, we want to make sure they're ready for anything. So we require them all to take 2 years of a foreign language. We require them to get all their requirements that they'll need to get into a 4-year university. And we have some kids doing some amazing things that we've seen from that. So with the last 15 minutes, I want to walk you to robotics and our aquaponics, and we'll see 2 areas. All right.
Good. How are you?
You're good. Yeah. Feel good for sure. Good to see you all here. So they do all kinds of different projects. They'll build robots that go up and down stairs. They'll build robots that go around that track and do the track. When you put that much water into glass, they're going to shatter. So they have to be exact when you do that. So the tanks on either side, the tanks in the middle, done by welding. Electricity did a lot of the lighting, the switches, all those things that you see hanging. Commercial arts did the signage, which helps block the lights, as well as give us some design and style to the room. We have cybersecurity that has done underwater cameras so that we can monitor the fish during 2 weeks at winter break.